can we ever get to a place in South Africa where we get totally free higher educations? I know that there are some countries that are doing it.
Germany and stuff like that.
You know, so, I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but for me...
Here's basic education and a nutritional plan. And get that right in South Africa. And then totally miss the mark in higher education.
Yeah.
I just want to park that question there before I...
He mentioned something which is quite important, the issue of outsourcing within higher education. As long as the government, you're always outsourcing, there's competing business interests. And as long as there are competing business interests within higher education, we can never really get free education because someone must benefit. And most of the time, the person benefiting is not the students. It's not the applicants to the institutions. It's these companies which stand to benefit, whether through the res business, the textbook business, the laptop business, because even NSFAS is even there in the laptop issues. So everything in higher education seems to be feeding someone except the students. For me, free education is, simple terms, the student must not owe anything. They must not owe money for tuition. They must not owe money for support, whether it be digital support like laptops, internet. The student must not owe Van Skyke bookstores, for instance.
Is that feasible
so it
for us
is,
as a
for
country?
Me, if I can go to the clinic, get healthcare, go to the hospital, get public healthcare, and in that system and not be charged for the services that I'm getting, if we can achieve that, I'm sure we can achieve education and access into education. Because I can get sick now and I don't have a medical aid, but somehow I'm going to be supported. And for me, the issue has always been willingness. I don't think the government has any willingness to even get free education.
Not that there's no money.
Not that there's no money.
Here's
it's
the
willingness.
thing. You were, in your opening remarks, you make a statement that Blade Zimande has said there'll be increments of university fees.
4.5% and
my question
6.5%
again,
respectively.
just to pose another question. A third of whatever you're paying in university, say for instance per module, I pay 3,500. A third of that is subsidized by the government.
Okay.
Why doesn't the government then increase their subsidy instead of increasing university tuitions?
Where does the money come
Willingness.
Yeah, willingness.
Where does the money come from?
As a country, how much is our GDP?
Tax. So
how much?
Tax more people so that more people can go to...
Because this is a cycle. They will then be replanted into the labor market.
There's even no guarantee of that because a lot of people with graduates
are sitting unemployed graduates. No, true.
There's a huge problem here. This system is broken, guys.
No, currently we don't have the capacity for free education.
Yeah.
And that is just a sad case because if we were looking at even tax brackets are exorbitant, they're too high. So we have to revisit those. We have to look at issues such as corruption in South Africa, and if that was minimized, how much money it takes. I think there was an article that was published how much money it takes technically to run free education per year as a country.
Yes.
And it does show that it is technically, in an ideal state, possible.
It's possible.
But if we are being realists, it's not possible in South Africa. But what is achievable...
Why not?
Naturally, because of all these factors that we are bringing up. Currently, that the ambitions and aspirations, our trajectory is not pointed towards that way. Because also there are so many external parties that play. Universities are a microcosm of society. But technically, universities should not be there solely to run for profit.
Yeah.
But there are professors that are releasing editions every other year so that, more money can be pumped into the reselling of textbooks. Yes, it is their knowledge. It's postdoctoral studies, it's their contributions, but they get paid. A paper that you publish in the university, there are certain brackets that you get paid by. So there are so many ways to be able to bring in money into a university besides just the textbook that the university or the student pays more money for. But also just the price and the cost of education currently in South Africa is so high.
Yeah.
And then the question begs, if universities are not a place of income, why are they so high? Is it to build new buildings, green and eco-friendly buildings? Is it to introduce new curriculum? Are there new and innovative ways of learning for the cost of this increase? They increase by 6 to 8%. What is going to increase in the quality of my education? If the cost of my education increases by 6 to 8%, then what is increasing in the quality of my education?
Yeah.
Because once I graduate, it's a totally different story for me tapping into, the labor market, and that's a conversation on its own that still needs to kind of be tapped into. But then that question begs, and I think that what we need to get to do, one, there is not a well-knit picked relationship between the university and the government, because that needs to further be understood in terms of what are the roles when it comes to the cost implications, because universities have free reign in terms of how they run their educational material. But when it comes to the cost of education, and if a country like Zimbabwe...
It's regulated by USACA.
Yes, by USACA, but what I'm trying to say is in the innovation, in the employment of staff and whatever the case may be, run it at your own free will, as long as the outcomes of that particular education are USACA accredited. But if a country like Zimbabwe can get that right, yes, it does have its challenges in terms of higher education. Why can't South Africa get it right?
There are
Zimbabweans... free higher education. There's Zimbabweans who go to England, who study at prestigious universities, who come to South Africa. Yes, sometimes there are payment delays, there are hiccups here and there, but if they can get it right, Zimbabwe, with its own challenges and its own GDP, and South Africa, the America of Africa, as some would call it, and it's a difficult term to swallow.
The South Africa of Africa.
The South Africa of Africa, if you may call it, as some would call it. But how can, again, it speaks to the question of willingness.
Yeah.
Is our trajectory there?
I don't know. So you're saying Blades shouldn't resign yet? He's done good. He shouldn't. It's
for me, he shouldn't resign. Let's allow the law enforcement agencies to investigate. Remember, one of the things you said
really is that nothing's gonna come out.
What has Blade done?
That means we've lost trust in the law enforcement agencies.
We've lost trust in Blade
for a long time.
We can't lose trust in the law enforcement agencies, because that would mean I'm not safe right here where I'm sitting.
We're not safe.
Let's get rid of Blades. We're not safe. Someone made a practical...